Welcome to Small Talk Daily for Monday, April 20th, 2009. This morning we're going to continue with the little notes application example I've been doing in Web Velocity. What we're going to do is extend our simple little notes taking application to include search so that we can search for existing notes. So let's go back to the code and take a look at what we've got. Look here in the list UI, and that's what we want to extend. So let's go to the source code. Right now all we really have is a very basic example of this. This is what the system generated for us with the scaffolding. So to take a look at what we need, let's go up to the visibility and go to generic collection UI. And you'll look up here and find that there are a whole bunch of rendering methods. So render actions on, for instance, you notice that's where this new button comes from. So we come over here, that's where new is. What we'd like to do is add a search capability along here. So what we want to do is come in here and say, okay, let's extend this. Now before I can extend this, what I need to do is I need to add a variable. So let's add a variable called search text. So we'll call this search text, and I can give it a description down here if I want, so I have additional documentation. So let's just say search criteria, and we'll leave it to create the accessors. And now what we'll do is we'll go back to our source code, and we'll go up here to visibility again, go to generic collection UI, and render actions on. This is the method I was in the midst of playing with. What I'm going to do is take some code and slap this in here. I've copied this and put it over here so that I can spare you the pain of watching me type. So I'm just going to replace the text there. I'm going to say let's use the super method so that I still get the new button so I can create new notes. But I also want to put in a search field. So I have the text search, a text input, and this on of is how I say take whatever I type in there and store it into the search text variable. So that's how that'll work. And then I have a button called search and a button called all. The search button will apply the search on the back end, and the all button will return to the basic search. That means I need to write two new methods. Now let's collapse this down so that I have less stuff staring at me. And what we're going to do is get out of rendering, and we'll go to private and say a new method. And here I'm going to say I want my apply search method. So here what we need to do is go in and customize the search. Now it turns out that we have an object called the paginator, which is what's displaying the list of things to us and giving us paging capability. You haven't really seen much of that because we only have 3 notes. If I had a lot, you'd see a lot of things there and you'd have paging capability. Again, I'm going to copy this text since I want to spare you the pain of watching me type. So let's put that in. And you can see I've typed this twice, so let's get rid of that. So here's what we do. We create a glorp active record query, and we tell it to read from our object class. If we go over to the class side, we see there's a method called object class, and it says, well, we expect to be displaying node objects. So that's what we're going to query for, node objects. Then we give it a new search text here of saying we want to search for all the search text as lowercase and wrap it with percents because that's the like syntax that's used with SQL. And then we hand it a where clause, and the where clause is a block. Into the block comes each object that you get back from the database, and we tell it the where is compare against the title. Now I could also compare against the description, but just let's leave it with title for now to make this very simple. And then I hand the paginator the query by saying paginator query : query. So every time we create a new search, we want to replace the query. We don't want to modify the one in place because there's really no telling what kind of nonsense you'll come back with if you have that. Now the return to all is going to be very simple. All we have to do, return to all, is create our new query. So we define query, and then we say, let's just copy this out of here, slap that down there. And then again, paginator query is the query. So here we create a new query and just tell it basic no where clause, just do everything for me. And that should be really all I need to do to get this operating. So let's test it out. Go to browse, notes.html. Now you see we have our search field. Now let's go ahead and say let's search for everything. Remember, we're only looking at title, so let's say tasks. Since we only see one thing here with tasks in the title. And there we go, we get it. Hit all, and we go back to everything. Now I could extend this to search for things in the description. So let's go back to the code, and let's extend this by saying, oh, let's put parentheses around this. And you see there's a little rendering mistake there, so let's go over and just put that there. And we say or, I'm going to put a return there so that I have the ability to see what I'm doing. Each description like new search text. And I want to say each description as lowercase. And that should give me this as long as I go to the end again and put a parenthesis there. And now let's try that. Browse notes.html. And now let's put in something that's only in the description, quick. And we'll come over here and hit search. And there it is. We have all. So now we can search across descriptions and titles. And that pretty much gives us the search functionality. Now there are a couple of things left to do here. One, we'd like to rearrange this so that the title was over here on first. I'll show you that with the scaffolding. And then the other thing we want to do is maybe Ajaxify this so that instead of having everything like this be a page submit, we want that to happen on the fly and only update this portion. Again, I'll show you that in a future screencast. So let's leave it there for today. Until next time, have fun with Smalltalk.